silence it or turn it off. And I just got a text from Councilmember Williamson. He says he's almost here, so if you'll join me in a moment of silence. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay. Ms. Domingo, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Lawler. Spicer.
Here.
Williamson. And Mayor Atchison.
Here. Okay. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, and I have one change to that, which is items under individual discussion, Roman numeral 9, items C and D. Both of them pertain to Holland Park, and would like to have those taken off the agenda, and we'll discuss those at the next meeting in October. Councilwoman Reed is gathering more information on those. So if I may have a motion to approve the agenda as modified to remove those two items.
So moved.
For support.
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The agenda is approved as modified. Okay. First item is the presentation by Ms. Colden on restoration of the Coca-Cola sign.
Thank you for letting me come and speak. I love to speak about this. It's become a passion. And my cohort in crime, as we say, is Janet Domingo. They call us Batman and Robin. And that's because we're always seen together. Except that we can't figure out who's Batman and who's Robin. We think she's in town more, so she's probably Batman. Oh, I gave you 3 more sheets, and you'll see why I'm referring to those in a little bit. Because I get a lot of questions about why are we restoring this sign? There are people who look at me and say, why do we need this sign fixed? I mean, it's an old sign. There's so many other things we need in Albion, and that's true. Except we do need art, and we do need beauty, and we do need to make sure our town is the kind of town we want to be proud of. And that includes art and restoration of our historic and iconic items in town. Now, we're restoring the Coke sign, but we're also doing 2 other things. So I want to make this very clear. Our primary goal was always to restore the Coke sign, but along the way we applied for patronicity, which is a matching MEDC grant, but they wanted more. They didn't think that restoring the Coke sign was enough. So they asked us to come up with 2 more art projects that we could put forth as more ways to beautify our downtown, and we are restricted by this particular patronicity grant to downtown. It doesn't mean it can't expand in the future as far as others taking up the call to beautify different parts of our town. But right now it's downtown. So it's the Coke sign, and then it's a statue, and I did give you that, about the little T-ball guy. Because as you know, we claim that Albion was the place where T-ball was invented. Now, several others claim that too, but we're going to take credit for it. And we are the first one to have a T-ball, organized T-ball game. So we can lay claim to that. Many of you know Jerry Sikarsky or know of him. He's the founder. We consider him the founder and inventor of T-ball. He's one of the inventors, at least. So we want to honor him and honor all the kids who played T-ball. I asked at a recent Homer breakfast how many people had either played T-ball, had a son or a daughter who played T-ball, or had someone in their family, and almost everyone in the room raised their hand. T-ball is a real American thing, just like baseball. So we wanted to have a life-size statue of him, and he will go in the beautification lot that is an Albion Community Foundation and a land bank project. It's at the corner of Superior and Elm on the west side. Right now it's like a huge vacant lot, and it will be gorgeous eventually, and the statue will go in there and a plaque will go in there too. Then we come to the mural. We're going to celebrate our foundry history because the diversity of our town really came about because of the foundries. So because of that and the Malleable Iron Works is really what we want to put on the back of the Malleable Brewery. It's going to be a 3D mural that's going to incorporate pictures that were painted by Albion College students in 1951. And they were led by, this was a project brought out by Thomas Lloyd, the founder of our community foundation, to show the town what goes on in a foundry. They're beautiful pictures. Probably very, they're pretty prettied up for what I know about a foundry, but they're very interesting. All of the funds we raise are going through our community foundation. They're a 501c3. We're not. We don't touch any of the money. It goes to the foundation. A lot of people have asked why this sign costs so much. And if you look at your sheet, it's because of its location. If you've taken a good look at how do you access that sign, it's over the river. How do you get equipment up there? How do you follow all the OSHA regulations? What about the EPA? You can't scrape lead paint into the river, nor should you, but you can't. So most of the cost of restoring that sign is based on the environmental impact and the OSHA regulations we have to follow for the safety of the workers, of the artists who are doing this. And this is going to last well past all of us in here, even you young people. It's going to be sealed, and it's going to last for generations to come. We're not going to be seeing this repainted again. Last time it was repainted was in '83. And they did the best job they could do then. Now we're going to conserve it, and it will be conserved for a long time to come. So, with that, I want to really invite you to the kickoff campaign. Patronicity I push the button on Friday, September 20th, but our kickoff celebration is at the Ludington Center, Thursday, the 19th. It's the first thing of festival, and it is from 4 to 6. I invite all of you to come, enjoy an ice-cold Coke, have some popcorn, and learn more about the projects. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and Janet will answer them. No, I'll answer them. Anybody?
Councilwoman.
Yes.
Hi, so I was just wondering, because it is a Coca-Cola
Sign.
signature, yeah, and they're doing the Coca-Cola like that again now?
It'll look just like it did in 1922.
But I'm saying that now the Coca-Cola company has gone back to some of, every once in a while they have the original signature on their Cokes. Have you ever tried to see if they would,
Oh, yes. We have tried every avenue possible. We have one more out there now. Every lead we've ever had, we have called, we have followed up. What's happened is Coca-Cola only restores the signs, and there were 16,000 painted. There's only a few hundred left as far as we know. They only restore the signs based on if you have a bottling company in your town. And that's what we don't. Our closest is Lansing. Now, Lansing Bottling Company is giving us some in-kind donation. They're giving us the Coke for the kickoff. They're giving us some raffle items for the kickoff, Coca-Cola related. They're giving us a big umbrella for Festival of the Forks. I hope I don't need it for rain. I'd rather have it for sun. But anyway, a big umbrella, because we'll have a booth right in front of the Coke sign. So they are helping as best they can, and they're trying to make connections. Everybody asks us that, and I think I should paint on my forehead. I've asked the Coke company. They've said no. But actually, we haven't ever found the right avenue to get in. It's such a massive company.
yeah, it is.
It's just, but Tanya Arnett, her best friend was a vice president at Coke, and she just retired. But she's in Italy right now, but as soon as she gets home, Tanya's asking her, can she help us out? So that might be a really good answer to, but right now we're going forward with, we need to raise $50,000 locally or we don't get our match. And that sounds like a lot of money, but we have about 25 raised, so we're doing pretty well. So get out, it's like getting out the vote. Please get out people to support the sign and to support the other projects.
Well, please tell Tanya to let them know we'd be happy to have a bottling plant here.
Yes, I've offered that before, but somehow they just don't want to do that.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
Question.
Did you have another question?
Councilwoman Spicer.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, I do. Thank you very much for the information. every one of us is aware that that sign is weathered and worn and
Right.
in dire need of repair. It's long overdue and definitely necessary. And so I want to applaud your efforts and work to restore that sign. So I'm sure it's going to be beautiful once it's done, and we won't know what we've missed until we get it, till we see it.
Thank you, I agree.
But my other question, that was a comment, my question is, why the decision to have the mural, the Albion Malibu mural behind the brewery?
Okay.
I think I know you consider that it's less visible to the public and visitors, but why? What made you make that decision?
Well, I just gave you a sheet, and I know you haven't had a chance to read it.
Nope, I haven't.
But let me address that, because that's a question that's been asked before.
Okay.
There are a couple reasons. One, you would think there are tons of places we could paint murals in Albion. It's not true. A lot of the buildings have been purchased for future renovation. Those are in question. They don't know what they're going to do with those buildings. We're not going to paint a mural on a building, ask you to donate money, about $25,000, to have that building changed and the mural destroyed. We've asked some other business people, they don't want the mural. They don't want the responsibility of it, they don't want it, and they want to choose what goes on it. We want our murals, unlike Jackson, to be very Albion-specific and to celebrate our history. I think it's pretty fitting it's going on the back, and yes, that might not be the best location as far as visibility, but if you've been down to the brewery, a lot of people go back there, and they will be directing people to go look at the mural, too, with things inside the brewery. And because it's the Malibu, it celebrates the history just by being the Malibu. It's a building that is in good shape, the surface is in good shape, it's going to be there a long time, and it's going to be in that use for a long time. It'll be a 3D mural that's going to incorporate all the things on the back of it, so it'll be part of the mural, which is very unique. We looked at, I'll tell you, Janet and I have a book of pictures of where we looked. There are places aren't big enough, or we looked at one, we thought it was great, right outside here. It's on the back of a building owned by the land bank. Mm-hmm. It's not structurally sound enough. That's what we've run into, is the buildings aren't structurally sound enough. They may not last, or they're going to be changed. That's the biggest thing. Or people don't want them. They don't want them for whatever reason. We've asked and been turned down. So they wanted it. They're going to help us fundraise. They're excited about it, and it does fit the theme of the Malibu Brewery, the Malibu. So we feel that's the best option. Do we want to stop at that? No. If we have any extra money, we've got other ideas, wow. And we welcome all others. So.
Well, I knew you had a great answer for me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I've been working on this 3 years, and I didn't know it was going to be a full-time job for volunteering, full-time job.
Well,
but,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions by council?
Yes. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman.
Sure. If anybody like any of these informational sheets, I'd be happy to get them out to you.
Next item is public comments. Persons wishing to address the city council on agenda items, please come forward, state your name and address, and 3 minutes for your public comments. Seeing none, we'll move to the next. Okay. City attorney requests a closed session under the Opens Meeting Act, section 15.268, subsection H, 267 of 1976 as amended, to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay. It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
did she say yes?
Yes.
Reed,
Pardon me?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Adjourn. Okay. Don't need that, don't need that, do need this. Okay. Ow. Hurt.
am super awful. I was born raised here, and that Coca-Cola sign means a lot to me. I was born
What happened? The adhesive is coming off.
That looks serious. Oh, my God. Okay, call the regular council meeting back to order. Okay. All right, first item for discussion is a discussion and approval of the Dalrymple site recommendations. Jeez, I skipped right over it again. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item is the consent calendar of the three items. Approval of the study session minutes for September 3rd, regular session minutes for September 3rd, and approval of the assembly permit for Festival of the Forks on September 20th and the 21st. And a copy of that is in the package. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, they are all approved then. Okay. All right. So, next item is the discussion and approval of the Dalrymple site recommendations. There have been a variety of recommendations discussed. So I'm not sure what the motion would be until we discuss it to see what we want to vote on. Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you. I have a motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve allowing the city to put a meal path along with the signs and possibly garbage cans at the beginning, middle, and end of that trail. I think that would possibly, address all the concerns I've heard from residents in that area, so that's my motion.
All right, I want to make sure I understand what your motion is, which is to authorize the city to install a mill path or a path out of millings, signs, and 2 garbage cans, one on either end of the path.
Possibly 3, but yes. I said middle too, because I want to make sure, but
Okay.
garbage cans.
Garbage cans, there, okay. Is there support? Second.
Support.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you. So I was able to reach out to residents in that area, and the consensus, the majority of people want a path. They want to have access to that lot to cross. I think it's more out of just history and habit. It's been happening for so long. When discussing the possibility of a fence, there are concerns about it being jumped over or torn down, and I know that's costly, the fence, and I know it's something that we could look at in the future and possibly budget for in 2020 if need be, but as far as doing something right now, I know the reason I mentioned the garbage cans is because from conversations, that was one of the things that was one of the concerns that was raised. That was like people walk through there and then they just throw stuff on the ground. So I figured if we put garbage cans up, maybe that will, address some of that. If people can see an open garbage can right there, maybe they'll use it. So, but what I know the majority of residents that I spoke to did not particularly support a fence being there. So I did have a question though after a few probably, regarding the upkeep of the ground, like the cut. I know there was an issue about cutting and disturbing the soil. So if council did approve the path, could you speak to how the grounds would be kept surrounding that, the upkeep of the lawn, how would you cut the grass? And then when it snows, because that's coming, marking that path so the city would know where to
Well, we actually have a small Kubota with a plow on it that we would use for that purpose. The path we could make however wide we wanted to. I would try to keep it smaller than a car could go across. So, like a 4 or 5 foot type of path, just a good walking path. It will be plowed. It's kind of like with the sidewalk, we maintain about 2 passes of a mower on each side. We can double check. That's going to be, 6 foot. So it would be 12 foot on each side that would be mowed or could be mowed. We could check I would have to check closer on the details of the actual contaminants that are there as to where they are, and what type of mowing we could do, so that we don't blow a lot of dust around and that type of thing. But I would say we would keep it maintained so that people aren't going to be walking next to grass that somebody could, Halloween on you. That wouldn't be any fun at all. I wouldn't enjoy that at all.
Okay. And the same with the snow, right?
Correct. The snow will be plowed and moved off of the path. It certainly would be.
And most of that area where the school was dug out and then fill was brought in. So that the contaminants, that area is not, I don't believe, as contaminated as it was when the testing was done, because the testing was done prior to the school being removed. And there was that blacktop parking lot that was at that end, which was removed as well. And so I think that was all filled in with fill, which is what we have to do to get rid of the contaminants, is put a surface cover over it. So I think a lot of that area actually has fill on it already that would not be contaminated. I'd have to go back and double check what they did when they did the work, but I believe that's what happened.
Okay, so the area where the actual building was, and then that black top,
Right.
you believe was filled after the
Right,
demolition?
so they brought gravel
Okay.
after they were done, which
Okay.
means the contaminants are lower,
Right, than it
covered
was.
up with something on top, so. So that would allow us to mow that area, generally speaking, without contaminant issue.
And then
Short passes.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Brown.
I had another, because I know there's like some fencing along some of those houses in the back, and one of the concerns was that like snakes and stuff are like up on that fence because the weeds and stuff are high. And like, the residents over there informed me they had been cutting a lot of the grass. A lot of times they would cut the grass because it wasn't being.
We can go back and look at the mapping and try to figure out whether we can mow maybe at least a path along the side of that fence as well.
But I don't know if they want a path there, they just don't want snakes and
I don't-
skunks and
Right,
stuff
without
coming
cutting-
out of the weeds.
Right, without cutting the grass back, I don't know what else we're gonna
Well,
do.
No.
I'm saying, not necessarily a path, but just,
Right, just mowing it.
right, just
Right.
mowing it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I mean.
You did say snakes on the fence.
I did.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure I heard you correctly. Okay.
So
So,
we,
Councilwoman Spicer.
Thank you. So the path is going on northeast, south, the north side or the south side of,
it'll
What
connect
is-
east to west.
It'll
So
run-
it'll go from Dalrymple to Ann.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right down the middle, basically. So this
Basically,
is gonna cost us nothing. We already have the mill stuff.
We have all that we need to do the path. That's what we, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Or at least it'll be a very modest expense.
Very, yes.
I mean,
very
our
low.
time and our great,
Gotcha.
our trucks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you. And then again, if we see that we're running into issues with just the trail, that we could possibly budget for the fencing in 2020. The signs I saw are up.
Some
I'm
are.
wondering, I was
We
gonna
have a
say, are
lot
we
more.
putting more? Okay.
Oh, yeah, we
I
have a
just-
lot more to go. We're just, with the, last week was busy, this week is festival. We put them up where the two aprons are on Dalrymple, and then along the sidewalk side where there's a piece of sidewalk that connects our sidewalk on Ann's side. Just to warn people, because that's where people normally go from one of those aprons to the sidewalk. And that's where the path will be to connect the two then too.
Okay, thank you. I did see the signs. I
There's
had-
plenty more to go up. And we'll also put those signs along the path as well, so that people are reminded not to go off the path.
Very
So
good.
while you're trying to recall your third
Go ahead.
question, here's my comment. And I'll invite our city attorney or our interim city manager to correct me if I've got this wrong. I believe we have a legal and ethical requirement to make a good faith effort to keep people off of the property, off of contaminated property. And my prior discussions with the city attorney, my understanding is that could be anything that works, or it could be a whole variety of things that work, okay? Which could be, if you put signs up and that works, great. If you put signs up and that doesn't work, you have a legal, ethical, moral obligation to do something more. And every time we do something more, it costs more money, so there's that. I'm skeptical that signs alone are gonna work in just the path. Hopefully that will focus everybody across there. I think, I'm coming from, I think it's probably not unreasonable approach to put the signs up, to put the path in, and take a wait and see if that's sufficient, and if we can communicate well to the residents and folks, and it works, then great. And we don't spend the thousands of dollars for fencing. I would also suggest we put up some no littering signs, and kind of take that serious, meaning if folks are littering, we find other ways to try to dissuade them from littering. So, that's, now, you had another one?
I did, and I wrote it down. If council approves this tonight, how soon could you start, and how long do you estimate it would take to do this?
We'd need to get through festival and festival cleanup that following week. probably within the next 2 weeks would be our optimum time to do that, because fall is coming and then we have park and cemetery cleanup as well. So I would anticipate that we would complete it all within the 2 weeks following festival, and that is next Saturday. So that Monday, we could get working on it. And honestly, like I've said, if we have, when I got the approval to do the path, if we have an extra guy that isn't busy, he's going to be hauling millings over there to start this week. So any downtime would be used for getting that over there to stage it and get it done, as well as getting more signs in.
So you have a reasonable expectation that prior to the end of September, that it would be complete? That's 24, no, not 24 days, that's 14 days. Another week after that then.
I would give to the second week of October.
Okay.
Let's shoot there, and I will.
Councilwoman Reed.
Have you ever thought of having have a meeting at the Snyder Building, or either here, invite the people from there in and kind of explain this to them, exactly what's going to be done and what they need to do in order to be safe?
I have not, I know they have weekly meetings, is the
The next one
council.
is this week.
Yep. So I can touch base with
Yeah, and maybe you could have Kent go in and explain to them what they need to do too in order
Sure.
to be safe.
Sure.
they're I don't have a problem doing that at all, but the awareness has been raised.
Yes.
At least I can say the Dalrymple area. So, but I will touch base with Ms. Kemp and possibly reach out to you to maybe
Sure.
Get some
Absolutely.
questions.
Yeah, and I can bring the report with me as well too, and we can talk about that. That's not a problem. I think looking at it though, in all seriousness, whenever I go by, and I go by that often, the only thing I see are people walking across it. If we give them an area to walk on, I think people will stay on that area, understanding that there is some level of contamination. I can tell you, in the last several years, I have never seen kids in that field playing. So I think that's important to note too as we move forward.
Councilwoman Clark.
Just for, to answer Ms. Reed's question, Ms. Kemp was at our last precinct meeting, and we did talk about it during the meeting. So she is well aware of what's going on, and she's also sent the notification out to the people in that area. So her meeting, the next meeting is tomorrow at 11, if you want to come with me.
Okay, absolutely, yeah.
That's okay?
And that's it.
Fine.
Okay.
Well, and if you have schedule another one, that's fine too. I mean, that's my job.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to quickly thank you
Yep.
for looking at the options and bringing them to council and being patient as we kind of sorted through what we wanted to do and what our next
Sure.
steps would be. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If there are no further questions or comments, okay, Councilwoman Brown, if you would restate your motion, so we're all clear.
the motion is to approve the city putting a mill path along the Dalrymple site connecting from east to west, west to east, signs and garbage cans.
Second.
Okay. All right. If you would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes?
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. Next item is request approval of GovHR settlement agreement. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Okay. Is there any discussion or questions by council? Okay. If not, if you would read the roll.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes?
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. Last item on the on the discussion and approval is request approval of the city manager's contract. We all have a copy of that. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions by council? Comments? Councilmember Williamson.
I am so thankful to the committee that worked really hard the last couple weeks to negotiate this contract and get something before council tonight. And I know that many citizens, entities, and probably our interim city manager are going to be truly thankful that we have hired a city manager this evening. So thank you to everyone that put in all the hard work to make sure that we have a highly qualified candidate before us and that we're going to make a great hire tonight.
Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo what Councilmember Williamson said, and I wanted to add a special appreciation to Attorney Harkness and Attorney Dietz, because they both worked very diligently with the committee. So.
Absolutely. City Attorney Harkness.
Just wanted to point out for council that, because we didn't have a whole lot of discussion about this, the start date for Mr. McCleary is September 30th. So that is a Monday.
And he has indicated that he can do that.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I asked him what his start date was, and so, and I should indicate, assuming the vote approves tonight, he has already approved this version. So once it's signed tonight, we'll get his signature, and contract will be effective with a start date of the 30th.
Right. Okay. I thank my fellow committee members for working very hard on this. It was not the easiest thing in the world to accomplish, but we did, and thank you for our city attorney's diligence and perseverance. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve this contract. Mr. Mingo, if you would read the roll.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay, next item, future agenda items. City Attorney Harkness.
So two things. One, in light of the manager's contract, we need to do a new resolution regarding our retirement plan because our MERS is requiring us to make a slight modification. I am working with our finance director to get the exact language from MERS, but we're going to need to do a resolution at first meeting in October. The other thing is the vaping ordinance that we just passed. The state has enacted a law that made a small modification to that, so we're going to need to make a small change.
Okay.
To what? I'm sorry.
To our vaping ordinance.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So if Mr. McCleary is balking or has any reservations about signing this until that's done, let us know, and if need be, we'll have a special meeting, but I don't anticipate that.
Based on my conversations with him, I don't think it's going to be an issue, especially since that meeting will precede the first payroll period for Mr. McCleary. So.
Okay. Councilmember Williamson.
I just wanted an update. Attorney Harkness will probably help too with this, but on the recreational marijuana ordinance, I feel like we're in some sort of time period that we haven't taken any action on the actual ban that we have in the city of the selling and distribution of recreational marijuana, but we said we were going to take some sort of action within 60 days of the state passing their guidelines. So we haven't done anything yet, and I wanted to know what the plan is to get that started.
Well,
we have to do something.
I mean, the council had a somewhat of a discussion on it, and if I recall, the last discussion was kind of seeing what other communities were going to do. I think those ordinances are just starting to come out. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to look around for some and try to get them for you for a future meeting. The problem is it's interesting because some communities are really far behind. Mm-hmm. Some are racing ahead. Like for example, Meridian Township, one of my other municipalities, just adopted medical. Right. And basically for the exact same thing I said is they put a ban in place for recreational because they're looking to communities like Ann Arbor and some of the really progressive communities to see, okay, they've done this, is this going to work or is it going to be a train wreck? Mm-hmm. Because they just don't know.
My concern was that we didn't take action since the state, and we passed a resolution that said we would do something within 60 days of the state. So I'm concerned that if we don't, that our ban might expire. Maybe you could help me figure that out.
So you've got a ban in place that's through an ordinance, okay? Your requirement to come back and, you were required to come back and discuss it. You weren't required to take any action. You were required to come back and discuss it. That was a resolution.
Okay.
So I don't think you're running afoul of anything. Certainly you can have a discussion about it again, and I'm happy to try to see what's out there. But my suggestion would be, I would give it, and not that, I'm not looking to stifle it, but I think you should give it a little bit of time and see what these communities are doing.
To make sure we weren't running afoul if we did, so we're fine. We don't need to add it to the agenda right now.
Okay.
Councilwoman Clark.
I would like to add, Habitat would like to be at our next councilman meeting.
And they want to present? Okay. Habitat for Humanity.
Yep.
Okay.
The end.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you. Rental certification. Where are we with that?
Coming up on council comments.
Okay. I'll wait. Maybe we
Well,
need
keep
it
it
as
to
an
that.
agenda.
I don't think you will.
Okay.
I like mine to put back on for next meeting.
Okay. Councilwoman Brown?
Thank you. I didn't hear Councilman.
Oh, the two items that we took off that deal with Holland Park, she wants to put back on for the,
Okay, thank you.
any other future agenda items?
I believe Officer Williamson's gonna have the community policing report ready for the next meeting
Okay.
that you'd asked for.
Additional item will be a presentation by Kids and Stuff Museum. They have a charity auction coming up on the 12th of October, so they'll come in and provide a presentation on that. I have a request to have somebody on two items to have a review and have council discussion on littering. We've spent a couple of, three that I can think of in the not too distant past, one being Saturday, to kind of clean up, pick up trash and whatnot. And I think the city's looking much better, but finding cigarette butts everywhere. And so I just want to make sure that I know and people have an opportunity to comment on what the ordinances are. We can have a discussion, and then we can figure out if there's something more or that we can do. So that's on littering. And then I've gotten several emails and phone calls concerning pets, primarily dogs, and same thing with what the ordinances are. And people have an opportunity to talk about what their issues and complaints are, and then we'll have a discussion. And if there's nothing else we need to do, fine. But the complaints that I'm getting are excessively barking dogs in certain areas for hours on end, dogs running loose, and folks that don't clean up after their dogs. So those are my two for that. Are there any other future agenda items by council? Okay, thank you. Next item is public comments. Folks wishing to address the city council, you have 3 minutes. You can comment on any topic or item that you wish. Just keep it to the topic and no personal attacks or issues with people, please. So please come forward, state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Sybil Sanders, and I live at 606 West Center Street. And I don't know if this is against people, but it's against the police, really. And I want to let you know what happened to me. I pulled up in the bank on August the 13th, and a police officer pulled up behind me. And she jumped out of her car with her hands on hips. She ran over to me. She said, "Where's your boy?" I said, "What boy?" She said, "Aubrey Gonzalez." I said, "I don't know any Aubrey Gonzalez." She said, "Yes, you do." I said, "I do not." She said, "This is his car." I said, "It's not. This is my daughter's car." Well, she knows him. I said, "She doesn't." And so then by that time, Elijah Armstrong rode up. He said, he jumped out of his car. He said, "You got the wrong person. That's my aunt." And he said, "She don't have anything to do with Aubrey." So he knew what it was about, I guess. And so then she just looked at me. She got back in her car and drove away. I never got a excuse, apology or anything. And so then she drove off. And so then on September, on September the 7th, my daughter and her two sisters were in the car. What they did, they're focused in the car. I guess he has a car like my daughter's, I don't know. But they didn't run the license or anything to know that it was my daughter's car. Then she pulled in the gas station. 3 police cars came up on them and with the bullhorn and told her, get out the car, throw your keys in the car. And so she got out. Well, she put her cane out first. When they saw the cane, they said, oh, I'm sorry, we got the wrong person. And so then they said that they thought that boys would jump out and run away. But they never ran her license in either. They ran them afterwards. And then my grandson got stopped on the 3rd of September, the same car. This car, I guess, belongs to Aubrey Gonzalez. But what I'm saying is, isn't there a procedure for them to go through before they pull you over or run up on you like that? And then also, Saturday night, this past Saturday, the car came speeding down the street. I'm sitting in my living room, looking at TV. I heard this car fly down Center Street, and then they pulled in my driveway. And guess what? It was the same 300 Chrysler 300. They pulled up behind my daughter's car. And then people did jump out and run. I don't know if they were being chased or if the police, but no, they never came down the street. But before I could call to get the police to come and look and see, I'm going over, to see, or get the car pulled out or whatever, they came and got back in and drove away. But I think, before they pull up on a person or something like that, they should probably run the tags. They would know it wasn't the car that they were looking for. I was frightened when she ran up on me. I didn't know what was happening. And she just ran up there and swore that I knew the boy. And I've learned who it was since because the public is talking about it. But I just thought it's a procedure or something that should be done or checked for the police before they do things like this. And it was 3 times with my daughter's car. I'm not saying that it's over because I don't know if they got Aubrey or if they're still looking for Aubrey. Okay. But I think before they look for him, check my daughter's license or check the license before they run up on us.
Thank you, Ms.
And I
Anderson.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there further public comments this evening?
Good evening, folks. Al Smith, 1209 Adams Street. Real quickly, I just want to thank the mayor, Councilwoman Clark, Councilwoman Reed, and Albion. We had a heck of a time Saturday. We had a great time out there beautifying Albion. So community unity was a great success. And thank you to everyone who was involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further public comments? Oh.
I just got here. Just had to catch my breath here. Mr. Mayor, council members, Chief Kip, I'm sure your title is multiple still at this point in time, so I'm not sure how to address that at this point, but Clerk Domingo, residents of the city of Albion, and folks watching on TV this evening, good evening. Gary Tompkins, your county commissioner. It's always great to be with you folks each and every month. And yes, I will echo that the comments you just heard. I don't know how that I got the donut duty. Somehow food is always with me, so my son Chip and I got to do the donut duty on the Community Unity Day, which was great, and thank you for allowing me to participate there. I'll be real short this evening. First and foremost, this Thursday night at our county commission meeting, on the agenda is to approve the grant application in relation to the NALF expansion on 29 Mile Road and B Drive North. So certainly I would expect that will pass in terms of our support and being part of that moving forward. So just some information for you folks to be aware of. There will be no county commission meeting on October 3rd, which is a normal 1st of October meeting for us. However, there is going to be a lack of a quorum, so therefore we're not having a meeting on October 3rd. So we've already got that far. Real quickly, the county parks. As many of you know, there's been a lot of discussion about potential millages and et cetera about county parks coming potentially next year. And the Parks and Rec Department in Calhoun County is looking for your input. There's a survey that's currently out right now, taking advantage of the opportunity to get on Calhoun County Parks and check that out and complete the survey. Right now, they're having a lot of problems getting any feedback from the east side of the county. If you remember my survey that I did here, would have been 6 months ago, which I'll be ready to release here pretty quickly, actually asked a couple questions about parks, and I've agreed to meet with them and provide some feedback, certainly for the east side. But they're wanting to know what our opinions are about parks and recreation in general, and what our potential support might be for a potential millage next year. So just something for you to be aware of, and definitely use it. It's your voice. I want to make sure that you guys, all of us on the east side, get a chance to have our input as well. So just something for you folks to be aware of as well, and those watching. My monthly newsletter, as you guys always know, I always say that every month. It's a great resource to know what's going on in and around the 7th District, including Albion as well. As you folks know, I've been on the Act 51 kick, which is the road funding, for several months now. Actually, I'm gaining some really good traction with some folks and some organizations. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, not from our state legislators, unfortunately. Maybe not necessarily have been into wanting to listen, but I will say among many organizations, it's really caught on, some very high-profile state organizations. So hopefully, we'll be able to push this on. Part of my newsletter this month, what we talk about is, and even though it's township related, and again, it's not just city related, but in township related, we talk about, a lot of the state legislators will tell you it takes care of the locals. Act 51 will take care of locals, and we know it doesn't. I'll give you an example. Four townships last year in Calhoun County in 2018 got $0 spent in their township. So you tell me, how are we ever going to get roads fixed if at the end of the day you get $0 being attributed to your particular township? And really the same holds true for the city of Albion too, because many of your local streets, as all of us have found where we may live, don't get the attention they deserve, and they need more funding. And at this point in time, Act 51 under the current guidelines does not really give you any opportunity to get any more funding than what you do, and really doesn't give you an opportunity to address your roads. So really, I'm going to continue that fight. It's not over yet. The latest I hear now at the state level is now they want to potentially allow counties and local municipalities to pass their own local fuel taxes, which could be counterproductive in some respects, because think about this. Let's say Calhoun County decides they're going to put a fuel tax in Calhoun County. Well, those of us, we on the east side, we live close enough to Jackson County. If Jackson County doesn't have one, we'll just go over there and use their gas. I mean, we're going to go over there and get our gas filled there. So it's just not really taking the time to really address the root cause of the situation, which is the funding mechanism that we have. We have these little sidebar things, but really don't deal with the true root cause of the problem, which is Act 51. And I'll certainly on TV tonight, I'll make the same claim. If there's any state legislators that would like to sit down with me and talk about this proposal and get the additional money down to the locals, you folks as well, an additional $1.3 million under my plan, let's have that discussion and let's talk about something real as opposed to just continuing that, kicking that can down the road. 68 years of Act 51, and look down many of your local streets. Tell me how good Act 51's done for us. Hasn't done much. So I will continue to have that fight on your folks' behalf, and I'm not going to let it go until they tell me to shut up, but I don't do that very well either. Many of you that go to the dinner or go to the breakfast know that cowbell is one of my favorite things I like to listen to. So, so with that being said, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you folks very much, and have a good evening, all right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mayor and council member comments. Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Juanita.
I was debating about getting up, but it's good. Juanita Solis Kidder, 1211 Edward Street. I want to say also Saturday was a great day for everybody, but we shouldn't stop there. It should be every day. Every day we should pick up litter. We should be proud of Albion, be proud of ourselves. Every little bit helps. And today, going home from work, I see Stacy Stewart in her wheelchair with one of those little grabby things, picking up litter in a bag. I'm going like, wow, you know, and if she can do it in a wheelchair on the side of the street with her little grabber picking up litter, what's wrong with the rest of us doing a little bit? So that was my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further public comments this evening? Okay. Council member comments. Councilmember Spicer.
I just want to announce that the Rental Registration Subcommittee, consisting of Director Tracy, Council members Reed and Lawler, and myself, as well as Assistant City Manager, Treasurer Haley Snyder. We will be having a study session regarding rental registration and certification on Tuesday, which is next week, the 24th, at 6 p.m. So please, community, renters, landlords, residents, any interested parties, please attend so that you may learn about the process and also provide feedback, comments, and/or suggestions. So that's a subcommittee meeting regarding rental certification next Tuesday, September 24th at 6 p.m. And hopefully, with a little luck after that study session, we will be bringing before council for discussion and or approval some recommendations, the recommendations from the committee with regard to rental certification registration.
Councilwoman Spicer, on the 24th, where is it being held?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be held here.
Thank you.
Council chambers.
Okay. Further comments by council members? Councilwoman Clark.
Okay. One thing, couple things. The survey for Festival of the Forts, for the gathering information for a potential grocery store, another grocery store coming to this city. The reason for this survey is for you guys to fill out these small forms of 10 questions and tell everybody that you can that we need to fill them out, and it basically asks regular questions: where you shop, how much money you spend, why do you shop there, how do you get there, those type of things, so we can present this to the grocery stores that we are now contacting to see if we can get in this area. So it's real important that we gather that information. There'll be 3 stations. We will have a station by Parks Drugstore, Elfrida's area is going to have surveys on her station, and then Linda for the, what's her name? Yeah, she's gonna have them, and then we're gonna have people walking around taking surveys all day during the Festival of Forks. So it's real important that we get them completed. We're not closing the ballots until the 20th, and the reason for that is because Albion College is having their homecoming the following week. So we want to go to their homecoming because we want to collect some data from Albion College to see how many people actually don't shop here and go to the other cities. So that's real important. So please get the word out. I'm having another precinct meeting on October 10th at Crowell School at 5:30. This one will be in the evening. Anybody is welcome to come, and at our meeting, we're gonna have the land bank come. So if you have any questions or anything, information that you wanna know about that, please come, and of course, we'll have Gary there, and I want to have him explain more of his proposal that he's put forth to the people so they'll understand it more, because I've had a lot of questions, so I'm gonna have him present there too. And as far as this weekend, thank you for thanking me for being there, but I wasn't, but Shane was.
Yes.
I was in Barica. So thank you for being there, Shane, in proxy for me.
Councilwoman Reed.
Well, Saturday I worked on painting with a group that was painting the fire hydrants at Highland Park. But my doctor, my chiropractor in Jackson, he and his wife had told me they were going to bring over plants for Highland Park to be planted. And they did a whole trailer full, of which we did not get a chance to plant on Saturday. But Mrs. Artist, Gwinnett Artist, that works with Star Commonwealth, she sent her group of girls out to work with me and Mrs. Delaney, Sylvia Delaney, yesterday. And for 4 hours, we planted flowers around History Hill at Highland Park. And I just wanted to say thank you to them for coming out. The girls came out and they were helpful, and Mrs. Delaney was just absolutely fantastic. So thank you all so much.
Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, Sister Drake's table is the Albion Healthcare Alliance.
Yes.
So that's the table to look for at the festival on
Okay, thank
Saturday. You're welcome. The Workforce Development Committee, we had between 55 survey responses, and I'll be ready to share that data that we collected, identifying barriers, probably at the next meeting. I may do it during council member comments. It won't take long. But I just want to let you all know that as a group, we've decided we had a number of participants say they wanted to further discuss and be part of a focus group. So we're looking at putting together focus groups to get more in-depth with the participants about those barriers. But we got good feedback, so I just wanted to let you know.
Councilmember Williamson.
So my schedule has recently opened a lot, and so I wanted to make sure I let people know that Precinct 6 will have at least one precinct meeting before the end of the year where we kind of go over priorities and things like that in the city. It'll probably now be better to have it after the new city manager gets started, but I'm sure Chief Kip will show up anyway too. So I just wanted to let people know that is coming in due time, and I want to again just say how wonderful it is that we have a new city manager starting on September 30th, and how excited we should all be to open up that new chapter for Albion. So thanks.
Okay. Councilwoman Spicer.
Just a quick question for Councilwoman Brown. Is it, are you not taking any more surveys, or are you done? Or?
I mean, sure, but we set them at. We gave Ms. Gray some at Lincolnshire, and we gave Ms. Kemp some for the housing developments, and we set them up at Michigan Works.
I just wondered, because
But if
I was in here on Friday, and I saw a few people take them, and I know them, so I don't know if you've not gotten
I'm
any
sure
since.
Ms. Lanu, she's been helping.
Okay, so I just wondered.
So, but yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And if you know someone or you want, we'll take the data.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Councilwoman Clark.
I forgot to add one other thing. Jill has been gracious enough to say that she's gonna put our survey, because it costs too much money to use the survey that we were going to use. So she's gonna put it on Facebook, and she's gonna put it on our city page. So that way, people that aren't out in the community, if they have access to that, they can also do that. And I'm gonna place them at the different apartment offices in the town, and probably some down here in City Hall. So I'm gonna try to get them out as much as possible so we can get these questions answered.
Okay.
Thank you, Jill.
So I wanted to have a lot of folks to thank for how successful Saturday was. We had somewhere between 150 and 125 people volunteer from across the city and did a whole variety of things. I think we ended up painting, I say we, I personally did not paint fire hydrants, but many folks did, between 45 and 50 fire hydrants, and I'll get you those marked up maps, Mr. Phillips, which was great. They looked fantastic, the ones around Holland Park, the ones around McIntosh Park, Superior Street, and a variety of other locations. The bathrooms down in Victory Park, if you haven't had the opportunity or the necessity to go in those bathrooms lately, you're far better off for it. They were painted on the inside. Both the men's and women's bathroom down there makes a big difference. That was a big accomplishment. The retaining wall at the train depot, Mr. Phillips, your folks took all the shrubs and things out of there and put the rock in and whatnot, but that retaining wall, if you haven't been past there lately, on Saturday it was painted really nice, nice beige, looks so much better, and the landscaping done by the citizens to beautify with the assistant from the Public Works folks, it really looks a lot better. The Stouffer Plaza, the retaining wall down there, they made a big, got a lot of that done, and your folks finished that up today. That's fantastic. At some point in the not too distant future, we'll wait to see what the recommendations are, a new mural, multiple murals, or whatever. But it just makes the whole plaza look so much better down there and inviting. Picking up trash, and again, Stacy Stewart was out in Victory Park picking up trash. And that's words of wisdom. If she can do that in a wheelchair, all of us can do that and make a big difference. It really does make a difference. We couldn't have done it if it hadn't been for the support for Mr. Phillips and the folks prepping for that, and Chief Kip helping get things set up. The corporate sponsors that we had, providing not only money but material and whatnot, Castor Concepts, the Foundry Bakehouse and Deli, McDonald's, Family Fare, I'm going to forget a bunch of people, Haas Trucking, Decker Manufacturing, Express or Performance Auto on Main Street donated a bunch of paintbrushes, all of which were used. Coffee from Bigby Coffee, thank you very much. We got orange drink from McDonald's, and I know I'm overlooking some things. The AmeriCorps Vista volunteers really put a lot of time and effort into it, and I thank them. And I thank you, Councilmember Williamson and Ms. Reed for being there. It was a really good day. It was nice to see so many people out smiling and just getting things done. It was great. So that was wonderful. I echo what the commissioner said about the survey for the parks. In Calhoun County, they have 620 responses so far. Only 21 of those are from Albion, so it's in our best interest to get people to respond to that. And I think you posted the link for the survey on the website. I appreciate that very much. And I wanted to mention that our new city manager, and we're all very excited for him to get here and start. He will be here in town next weekend for Festival of the Forks. And so that's good. He'll also be at the Albion High School Alumni Reunion Banquet, which I believe is Saturday night. So he'll be out and about, so if you see him, introduce yourself, and I'm sure he'll be meeting lots of folks, and this is a great step forward for Albion. That's about, Eggs and Issues. This is where the communities get together on Friday mornings. Homer was last week on Friday. This Friday it's here in Albion at the Thank you, Kids and Stuff Museum. Okay. Any other comments by council?
Is he walking in the parade?
Yes. Okay.
What time is the parade?
10 o'clock in the morning, right? Okay. He gets, yeah.
Washington Gardner?
Okay. And I neglected to give you the opportunity to give a city manager's report, although we may have covered everything.
Covered everything I was going to talk about, so we're good.
Master communicator, couldn't even see your lips moving. Okay.
I didn't hear the time. What time are we supposed to
The parade starts at 10 o'clock, so 9:45, if you can be there.
By the junior high?
Yep. At 10 o'clock, I'm driving, and we're leaving, so.
Oh, no. Are we walking?
The trailer will be there from Marshall, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, so.
Councilman?
Is Eggs and Issues at the?
Kids and Stuff Museum this Friday. Okay. All right. Yep, car show Friday evening. Should be lots of fun. Okay. Motion to excuse absent council members. Okay.
Support.
All right. It's moved and supported to excuse Councilmember Lawler. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Excuse. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Support.
Okay. We are adjourned.
Wait, we need to vote.
Oh, I said all in favor say aye.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And it passed. Okay.
I'll take care of this other. I think this is your.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I almost didn't let you speak on public comments. I just get used to county commissioner being the final word, so my apologies. Yeah. So now the arboretums at the train depot are in the ground, so.
We'll see.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Okay.
I'll send it to you by Wednesday? Make the paper by Thursday?
two.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta get hooked up, exactly, yeah, I know, exactly.
Pastoral Association meets here, I've gone to one of the meetings, they talk nothing to do with city business or anything else, but it is all religious. So is there an issue with separation of church and state? Because it's not a public meeting location.
No, here's what I say, I mean, if you wanna keep them out of your office, that's one thing. I mean, certainly this conversation, I think what we've done in the past, is we've made conference rooms or whatever open to the public to have meetings, whether it's secular, whether it's religious.
Okay.
You give access to everybody, there's not a church and state.
Okay. So then I'll be with you in just a second.